And we are here with Stacie Jones, president of Infinity Title. Hi, Stacie.
Hi, Truda. How are you?
Great, really great. How are you hanging in there at during these times?
Very blessed. We're hanging in, and we are an essential, and we're up and working, helping people. It's great under these circumstances.
Yeah, that's good. I know you don't have to teach any kids that's at home because Jordan, your daughter, works with you, so that's
This
a
is
plus.
true. I mean, it is definitely a plus. All the moms at home and dads and just everything they have to do. So, no, I'm just focusing on my family and health, but the business.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because, there are some really challenging things that came from this, and there are some really cool things that came from this. Like if you go back to, the times when people were just selling so much real estate, they were signing contracts on the cars, on the hood of the cars. Just the other day, I said, where was your settlement? You said on the hood of a car. And tell me a little bit about the two challenges that you have, since this change has happened.
The negative is it's sad because it's not that celebration of people's accomplishments. So right now, it's harder because people are not together. People are afraid of each other, but everyone still wants to do business, and we are. So that's a positive. Our agents who we love to see, the loan officers, they're no longer at attendance. So we are now doing it. We call it curbside. It was approved by Governor Murphy in the state of New Jersey. We are second to Maryland, where we're going to go to remote notary. So that's the positive, as well as in the States. So a lot of people who are old school that do not have the technology, it's harder on them if they can't review the documents prior to arriving to our curbside service, or even if we come to their home through Notary Loop or those type of things. So that's a negative. But also a positive is anybody that is good with technology, they're now seeing the documents before closing, and we're reviewing them. It could be during business hours, outside business hours. So that's a positive of a negative. And business is still going on. And I think almost all of the customers are so satisfied because they feel that we're going endless efforts to make sure that they're having a great closing experience. And they all want us to take pictures and send it to their agents, and they're having a little fun with it in bad times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, even somebody who's not tech savvy, say you have my mom was 92. So like my mom who would not go on the computer, I think someone like her, you're so great with people, and you are, regardless if you're doing it through technology or face-to-face on the phone. You're such a kind, patient soul. So I think you could also, have a conversation with someone like my mom's age, 92, and explain things on the phone. Is that also it's almost like a hand holding thing that maybe in the past everyone was too busy to do, but maybe that's a good thing, right?
I think you are 100% right. And it's funny you say that, Truda, because I had a 74-year-old on, and I know the date only because that Saturday was when things really started to change in our state of New Jersey. So it was March 16th. She was 74. She was selling her home, and it was in an age-restricted community. And she said, Stace, no offense, but I'm afraid of you. I do not want you to come in the office, but if you can help me, you can review the documents without me seeing them. And then is there a way we can do a curbside service? And I said, of course. I mean, yes, I want you to be safe. So that's where our takeout service started on that day. And she was 74. She was so happy, so thankful. And I'll be honest with you, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have been in tune to that as quickly. So yes, it is important even more that you show the compassion and the care. It's not just business. People have to feel good too.
Right. Yeah. So, what are some of the, I always try to keep it positive, but I call them challenges. What are some more of the challenges that you've had where, you've, you've just had to hurdle these challenges or perhaps say no at times?
All right. So there's many, but we're working with great partners. One, remember, if it's a lender is involved in the purchase, and in certain counties, they're not open for business. They may be open to certain employees, but our underwriters are taking the risk. We can't record documents. Does that mean that a recorded document does not allow the deal to not go through? No, but all parties, the lender has to approve that in the normal course of business, we have to have documents recorded within 3 business days or submitted. Well, guess what? In some counties, some places, that may not happen for 2 months. So our underwriters are taking risks. So that's a challenge, because sometimes if you have a lender that will not allow that, that means it cannot close until there's a change of business. That's the positive of what happened on the 14th of this month, where Governor Murphy now has implemented, we're going to remote notarization with cameras. It may delay a disbursement by a day, but everybody's been thinking of how we can still conduct business. I recently had a situation where everybody's working all different times. They needed to get their funds for closing. They were going to wire it or get a bank check. They made a call for their appointment. They were booked. And it wasn't that they couldn't get in that week to get the funds. It was because she was a nurse, 12-hour schedule every day. And
God bless the nurses and doctors.
Exactly. I mean, it's amazing what they're doing. So in a transaction, knowing that now, guess what? We need to be in front of it. We need to have those final numbers or as close as possible to allow longer than, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow with certain banks may not work. Their appointment may not be for 3 days. All right.
And you mentioned cameras, just our technology now. Have you done a lot of Zoom conference calls with the buyers and sellers that are more, I mean, some people, the reality is some people are audio, some people are visual, some people are both, and some people are in person. So if you're an in-person type of person, you're probably more likely to want to do a Zoom call so you can, see the person and relate to the person.
Yeah, we've done Zoom calls. We are actually getting a new camera through Microsoft that will happen this week. And even sometimes we just do the normal telephone where we do it right through the telephone. So it just depends. Whatever someone feels comfortable with as a consumer, we're able to do it. We've even done it where, they pull up to our office, and I'm here in Ocean City today, and I rotate the office depending on the needs. And we actually set up a table outside in the glass, and we have our phones on, and there's only a glass that's dividing us. So we'll do it camera, we'll do it curbside, we'll do it at a table outside. So it just depends, but there are ways, as long as people want to do it that way.
And it's interesting. So people talk about the new and how some of the new news are going to stay with us permanently, as with any other changes that occurred years in the past. So what do you think would stay with us in moving forward, say after this is, they find the vaccine and everyone's going out and testing the market and wearing their gloves and their mask and, moving forward with business. What do you feel as though, hey, wait, we never tried this before in the past, but now that we were forced to do it, it's almost actually a positive thing for the buyers and sellers to, do this, like to stick with it. Do you feel like there's anything that's a new that you would want to stick with after everything is, in a better place?
Yeah, I hope that we continue with the lenders when it is a purchase money mortgage situation, that we have everything in advance and that they really get to see things a couple days before closing. One, I think it's the best practice with the consumer instead of at the closing table. But also, if say something, a change of circumstance has happened, that allows us time to possibly fix it or amend it so that everything closes on time. So I hope some of the practices where we're getting in front of it continue. And you know what? If certain companies can't do it that way, it'll definitely show the difference between the standards of companies and the efficiency of what we do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I just drew I drew a blank as to what I was going to say, but um, I can't remember what my question was. It was regarding moving forward. Um,
I hope, like, I guess I'm torn. I love people and I love the whole closing experience and how happy. And you know what? Sometimes closings aren't happy for people. So it's not always that. Some people are in a situation that they have to sell. So you you have to care about that too. But I hope we don't lose totally the closing experience of having all people together, because it is the American dream and it's a huge accomplishment no matter what price tag. And I do love that. You know?
Yeah, it is a togetherness at that round table. One time I did a deal with 3 attorneys because the bank brought in his own attorney and the stack of papers where, I just didn't even know. We just sat there for like 2 hours. It was a commercial business. But it was there was such a synergy at the table. And, that when we sit down at your table and, we take the pictures and we sit around and there's conversation, and it's a conversation that kind of bonds and ties us all together of just being human. And, we're all, of course, we're doing business, but we're all also talking about our families and our kids and, moving on to the next thing. And, what really did happen when we were trying to figure out during the deal, what was, something that was going on, and then it all exposes itself and people are like, oh, now I know why that happened. Or so it kind of puts closure to things too, in such a great way, right?
It does. And you know what, as though it's a convenience to be able to do this all remotely or takeout service, I just think it's a very important thing that, you know what, you still have to have that relationship and trust. I mean, you can have a situation where you have a deal that's so challenging, and then once you all get to the table and you're people to people versus, a voice or a text or an email, it changes everything. And then you build those relationships, hopefully for life. And that's what it's about. It's sort of, where I know it's convenient to order things online and it's great. It gets dropped to your door. But you know what? It is nice to go shopping too, right?
Definitely. It is. I do miss that.
Right.
So I remember what my question was. There came a time, I remember it was like over the last year and a half where all the title companies had to get on board with sending out that notice of, wiring funds and, don't give any of your information over the email except for, unless it's you have it like a encoded secure portal, right? So with everything that's happening now, is there anything new like that where there's a security thing that, because I and all the agents and we were also happy. I remember there was conversation about wiring funds and, possibly wiring it to the wrong person, not, because there were scammers out there or whatever you want to call them. But, and then we got the email and it kind of made everybody aware. And it was great because you tightened up your title company, every title company tightened up their title company to make sure that everyone's funds were protected. Do you see anything with being on, doing everything through technology? Is there like a new protection that we all need to know about? Or is it pretty much everything is just still so secure from the way that we were running it before? It's still okay right now?
I think that anytime that you go totally to remote closing, it is a problem. I mean, of course, we have the most secured portals. We've changed even our security. We have done everything possible, but these bad guys, if they're, and you have
they are the bad guys.
The bad guys. I mean, if I have a buyer and seller that doesn't have the same protection, or they're out there on AOL or some of the unsecured sites, anyone is subject to it. So, you know what? You never just rely on email or texting. You know, there's security questions, just like if you called in on your bank account or you try to get a payoff. We can't lose sight that there's certain measures that we have to always keep in place, because it they're going to find a way, but we have to be smarter than them and more secure.
And I say this, I said this to you a million times, not a million times, but like a lot of times, just with how you run your, you know, just being the president of the company and having your finger on the pulse of everything that happens, and being at the table with you is so impressive. Where, I mean, I remember my clients signing the wrong documents, and you were like, no worries, I have a whole copy. I called it your magic, your magic bag of, tricks. But you are so prepared, to me, just for any unforeseen situation. So you're very, very impressive at what you do. And I always feel so safe and secure with, like, working with you. So thank you for that. But I want to thank you also for being on the show. And just to say, I just kind of wanted to share with everyone to, during this time, keep your energy high, learn something new, say a prayer for someone who needs it, and stay positive. And that's all we can do, right, Stacie?
I love that, Trita. Well said. I agree more, and I'm very thankful to be working with you as a partner, and it's wonderful. There'll be good things that come out of this for sure.
Yes, they are. We're very lucky, right? We're,
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Stacie, and be well, okay?
You too. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye now.